Hello, it's Meg Cowden with Seed to Fork. It's the middle of August 2024. It's been a while since I've done a garden tour, but we are just having some crazy season and I finally have a little bit of breathing room, so I'm back to share kind of all the good, bad, and the ugly of what is happening right now for our garden in this really crazy growing season.
Well, there have been quite a few failures this summer, and this is one of them. This was supposed to be a beautiful, lush trellis of vortex pole beans. As you can see, it's empty. I have got self-seeded cucamelons coming into season. My watermelons are coming in here, and I'm just gonna look down here. I mean, a bean. This is it. My bean plants, they germinated and they looked fine, and then they completely stunted. I don't really know what's going on. I had a completely lush cucamelon trellis here last year. This is how it is. This is why I grow diversely, because you just don't know what's gonna do well each year. All right, so musk melons and cantaloupes, this is kind of a garden win this year because last year they were completely lackluster. We had a few melons, but nothing like the year prior, which was 2022, which was a bumper crop. So I haven't fully counted in here, but the plants are lush and beautiful, not a lot of disease. I got 6 plants on here this year rather than 4. I usually do 2 on each side. I crammed them in this year. That could be part of the reason why they're doing so great. Also, I crop rotated. Winter squash is another hit or miss, and here's why. This looks great. A lot of it is my 898 butternut seeds I was gifted from Row 7 Seeds, which I'm really excited to try. They are these little butternuts, and we've got probably a couple dozen of them. But I got squash vine borer on my Stella Blue from Siskiyou Seeds, which is a new winter squash variety. I've got a few in here, but not as many as I'd like, and this is what went wrong. I covered my summer squash from the middle of June to about the middle of July, to about July 10th, to try and coincide with our flush of squash vine borers. And I protected them, and then I took it off, and those plants actually look fantastic. I usually pull them out because squash vine borer gets at them, and I usually replant them. I haven't had to replant my summer squash this year, but I wasn't thinking about my winter squash, and so I've had to actually pull one of my vines out. And you can see, I mean, there's more vines that are dying here. So this is kind of a mess this year. It'll be okay because we don't eat as much winter squash as I'd like. And especially now that we're gonna be -1 of my winter squash eaters who's going off to college. So it's maybe a mixed blessing that we lost some fruit here, but I am gonna take note for next year. All right, so we had a dry spring, and then we had an extremely wet early summer all the way into about the middle of July. And that meant a lot of disease pressure. My tomatoes look terrible, but they've got tons of fruit on it. So I have pruned about 5 feet up on these plants, and I've got tons of fruit. I'm picking them a little early. There is a little bit of like extra disease, like bacterial spot, especially on my speckled Romans. I've got a tiny bit of anthracnose on my black beauties, which kind of always happens. I haven't grown them in a while. But on the plus side, I had some of the largest onions I have ever grown here. And I think that really is a testament to our 2 inches of water a week that we had just in that real critical time period when the onions are bulbing. So from middle of June to like the middle of July. Massive. It was such a joy to harvest those this week. Pulled them out, let them cure a little bit, and now they're drying on our curing rack. Well, they'll stay for about a month or so, and then we'll trim the ends off and grade them one more time and put them into our root cellar in our house, which is a dry root cellar. Low humidity, slightly cooler temperatures than our kitchen. So our determinate tomatoes this year, I took a huge leap. First year I've ever done it, and the only way I'm growing those is with direct seed. And so I direct seeded them inside our cold frame. They germinated around Mother's Day, and I transplanted them probably a few weeks later, somewhere around Memorial Day weekend. They were very small and took them a while to get going. Got lots of fruit set, but they haven't quite started turning color yet. And I'm talking, it is August 14th, and I don't have any plum tomatoes to oven roast and can. And this is really trying my patience as a gardener. I've got a tried and true method I usually put up about 50 to 60 quarts of canned roasted tomatoes for all of our winter meals, and then I usually make like a couple of gallons of ketchup, both for ourselves and to gift. It's one of my favorite things to gift in the holidays. So I'm a little on edge about our tomatoes this year and whether or not they're going to come into season, because we've really cooled off. We're in the 70s, maybe low 80s here for the next 10 days. We even had 60s last week. So it's a little uncomfortable, but you know, this discomfort is where we grow as gardeners, is where we grow as people. So I'm just trying to strap in and let the season ride out. Okay, so the orchard is in its 7th growing season, maybe technically 8th. I think this is its 7th full growing season. You can see these trees are fully trained out, and this is our snow sweet. It produces pretty well for us. Later season apple. We've got plums and then apricots. We had a few apricots this year, which was very exciting. And it's just a beautiful kind of, almost like a hardscaping. It's not a hardscaping, but it's a really nice element of the garden. It frames in this side. I am looking directly out at the asparagus, tomatoes, and beyond to the barn from here. And it's a lot of work. My husband takes care of these trees every week, and you can see they've got kaolin clay that's on here. He also sprays organic fungicides and other pesticides to keep all the pests, the various pests at bay. There are lots here. Another big change this year that I'm doing, which I don't like to do because of aesthetics, but I'm doing because of pressure. You probably have seen the cabbage whites flying around. We also have a ton of cabbage loopers this year. So to thwart them, not only do I still catch them with my net, but I have kept a lot of my summer and fall brassicas covered. I've kept my Brussels sprouts covered since I planted them. I planted them out in the end of May, beginning of June. I kept my first succession of fall brassicas, which I planted late this year because we've had just kind of a crazy season. Those also are still covered. So one other positive is that we've done a really good job of keeping head lettuce in season this year, which is kind of a big win for me. I usually lose the stamina, or the timing doesn't work out. So I've got quite a bit to harvest in here. Things that aren't covered up, I'm seeing a ton of eggs on. Like I've got some collards for the fall, and I brushed off a whole bunch of eggs the other day on those. And speaking of fall, we've got a lot in season. We've got a lot of the garden planted for fall. I've got dry beans as usual. I didn't grow any dry corn this year. Fall peas went into the ground in the middle of July 4 weeks ago, and they are flowering already. This is kind of the really tricky thing with fall peas, is timing those right. I like to time them early enough that they're going to start producing before it gets cold. So they will probably produce for a month or more because the temperatures are cooling and not warming. So I think I can get them to produce a bit longer, but we'll see. The other thing I think you can see here is we've got a second succession of sweet corn. We had a fantastic crop of corn. Our first succession came in early August, end of July, early August, and was in season for about 2 weeks. We just finished the last of it over the weekend. And now this crop is just starting to tassel, so it'll probably be 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So it'll be the middle of September. It's going to be a late corn. So one thing I'm kind of bummed about is this garden bed. This bed is usually kind of my go-to beautiful view, and I tried something new this year and I planted dahlias in here. I did my usual kind of other mixtures, but I did come in just a couple weeks ago and put a few zinnia in there because that's what I'm used to seeing. Tried something new and just not very happy with it. Sometimes you have to go through the practice of actually doing something new to know if it's going to work out or not. So next year, back to zinnias in this bed. Thank you so much for watching. It's great to get back here and create some videos for you and share the garden with everyone. I hope you found this enjoyable and a little reassuring that yes, our garden has disease too and has failed crops. This is just the way the garden life is. So if you like this, I would really appreciate you liking, subscribing, and sharing with your fellow gardening friends to get the word out about our garden and what we do. And until next time, I hope you have a great month in the garden. Thank you so much for watching.